Today we're going to be stepping up our fraction skills and incorporating complex fractions into proportions. So a complex fraction looks like the one you see on the screen when we have two fractions, or at least one fraction, in the numerator and the denominator. So let's first go ahead and we're going to solve number 1 together. So this is a complex fraction because we have 1 1/4 divided by 1/5. The large bar right there is my division. A fraction bar again can mean division. So the first thing I always want to do when I see a complex fraction like this is to write it horizontally. So I'm going to do 1 1/4 divided by 1/5. Again, horizontally means straight across. Write your fractions side by side. So in order to divide, I need to convert to an improper fraction. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5/4, divided by 1/5. And remember, to divide, I keep the first fraction, 5/4, change to multiplication, and flip my last fraction, and then multiply straight across. 5 times 5 is 25/4, and then I'm going to go ahead and divide back out to a mixed number. 4 goes into 25 6 whole times. The remainder is 1/4. So my answer is 6 1/4. Go ahead now and solve this second division problem with a complex fraction. So in this problem we have 3 divided by 2 1/2. So first thing we should have is our problem written horizontally, 3, and I'm going to put 3/1 because I know I'm going to need it as a fraction, divided by 2 1/2. First convert 2 2/4, or 2 1/4, 2 1/2. So it'll be 3/1 divided by 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5/2. Keep the first fraction, change to multiplication, flip the last fraction. 3 times 2 is 6/5. I divide it out. 1 goes into 6 one whole time. Our remainder is 1. So your answer should have been 1 1/5. So now we're going to add in our complex fractions into a proportion. We're still going to go ahead and use the same skill we just did before. And our hope is that at the end of this, we don't feel like this guy up here, and we don't feel freaked out. So we're going to go ahead and start. Again, proportions, we cross multiply. So I'm going to do 1/2 times x, which is just 1/2 x, and we set that equal to 2 times 2 2/5. So again, anytime we're multiplying and dividing, take your complex fraction and write it horizontally to the side. So I mean 2 or 2/1 times 2 2/5, because again we're cross multiplying. So again, I need to convert this to an improper fraction. So it's going to be 2/1 times 2 times 5 is 10, plus 2 is 12, so 12/5. Since it's multiplication, I'm just going to multiply straight across. 2 times 12 is 24/5. And because I know I'm going to still have to divide, I'm going to leave it as that improper fraction. So my equation right now is 1/2 x equals 24/5. Next thing I need to do is divide both sides by the 1/2, because 1/2 divided by 1/2 is just 1, so I'm left with my 1x. Again, what we just learned before, take our complex fraction right here and rewrite it horizontally, side by side to the side. So 24/5 divided by 1/2. Keep, change, flip, multiply straight across. we get 48 divided by 5, and I can go ahead and convert that back to a mixed number. 5 goes into 48 9 whole times. 5 times 9 is 45, so my remainder is going to be 3 over 5. So I have 9 and 3/5. Alright, this problem is not on your paper. Go ahead and find some space, copy down this proportion, and solve for x. Okay, let's see how we did. So we're going to cross multiply. My first side is easy. 6 times x is 6x. 1/2 times 4 and 1/6. So I'm going to come to the side and write it horizontal, side by side. 1/2 times 4 and 1/6. 1/2 times, convert to an improper fraction, so we're going to get 25 over 6. Multiply straight across and I get 25 over 12. I'm not going to convert back to a mixed number because I still need to divide. So from here, I'm going to divide both sides by 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1, so I'm left with that 1x. Again, I have another complex fraction right here. Come over to the side. 25 over 12 horizontally divided by 6, or 6 over 1. I'm going to keep, change, and flip. Multiply straight across and I get 25 over 72. I'm going to go ahead and determine I cannot simplify. Nothing goes into 25 and 72. So my answer is x equals 25 over 72. So now we're going to put our complex fractions into a word problem. So again, hopefully by the end, we don't feel like this guy. We're not surprised, we're not shocked, we get it. So go ahead right now and just set up your proportion with the words you're comparing and the numbers. Okay, let's make sure that your proportion is set up correct. In the actual question, it's asking for how many push-ups would you expect him to do after 2.5 minutes. So the comparison in this problem is the push-ups compared to the minutes, how long it's taking him. Now I'm going to fill in my numbers. If I go back and find my key info, I see that he does 12 push-ups in half a minute. So I'm going to do 12 over 1/2. Now my other side, I want to know, it says how many push-ups. Since I don't know how many push-ups, I put my X, and 2.5 minutes goes on the bottom. Great job if you set that up correct. And now go ahead and solve for X. Alright, so let's check this over. I'm going to cross multiply 1/2 times X, which is 1/2 X, and that's going to equal 12 times 2.5. So I'm going to come over to the side and write it out horizontally. 12, or 12 over 1, times 2.5. 12 times, I'm going to convert to an improper fraction. We get 5 over 2. Multiply straight across, I get 60 over 2. And 60 divided by 2 converts easily and divides out easily to 30. I'm going to go ahead and do that so I have smaller numbers. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 1/2. My 1/2's cancel. I'm left with X. Come over, write it horizontally. 30 over 1 divided by 1/2. Keep, change, flip. Multiply straight across, I get 60 over 1, which is the same thing as 60. And I need to go back and determine what is 60. 60 is going to be the number of push-ups, since that's what I was looking for. So he can do 60 push-ups in 2.5 minutes. All right, solve this one on your own. This time we need to use the table in order to find out some of our key facts to use. Set up with your words and numbers in the proportion, and then solve for your missing value. Okay, so when I look at the actual question, if Miss Lee only has a 1/4 cup of butter, that's going to be a key piece of information. How many cups of flour should she use? So already in this question, I am going to be comparing butter, how much butter she is using, to how much flour she is using. So the first thing I need to do is look originally. How much, if she was following the original recipe, she would need 3/4 cup butter. So I'm going to put that on the top. Now I need to look for the flour. Looks like if the original recipe used 3/4 cup of butter, she had to use 1½ cups of flour. But we can see that she doesn't have 3/4 cups of butter. She only has 1/4, so that goes on top. And our X goes on the bottom because we're looking for how much flour she uses. Cross multiply. 3/4 times X is 3/4 X. 1½ times 1/4. And write it horizontally. So I have 1½ times 1/4. Convert to an improper fraction. 3/2 times 1/4. Multiply straight across, and I get 3/8. So 3/4 X equals 3/8. Now I need to go ahead and divide both sides by 3/4. 3/4 divided by 3/4 cancels out. I get X equals, I'm going to have to squish this over here, so I'm going to do 3/8 divided by 3/4. I am going to keep, change, flip, multiply straight across. I get 12/24. And I know 12/24 simplifies down to 1/2. So what is 1/2? 1/2 is the number of cups of flour Miss Lee needs to use when she only has 1/4 cup of butter. All right, now it's time to see how much you learned and how much that practice helped you today. You're going to solve both of these exit ticket questions on your paper and then enter them in to Edpuzzle. When you are done, make sure Miss Lee has your paper and she can also check over your answers. Great job today.